Hello guys and girls, and you join me back in War Thunder Naval Forces. And there's been a bit of a change to the PT boats. They've made them a little bit more interesting to play, so to say. Now, there are still many problems, and there are still issues with the game in patrol boats. I'll get this S boat over here. We get a few shots on target. Where we're going. So yeah, there's been a few changes in the patrol boats. They're a little bit easier to kill, so to say now, by other patrol boats. So there's less of the, 4 trillion shots to take down a patrol boat. They're just a little bit better to play, in all honesty, and that's a good thing. However, there's also been a change to destroyers to make them slightly more ineffective against patrol boats. And this is where problematic things can come into play. So, now that the destroyers have a little bit less choice in their ammunition, things like that. So it's a bit harder to kill a patrol boat. And, well, that can really make things different. It's all that balancing act, isn't it, really? That's what it is. So we've got what's it called? A tribal class destroyer over there in the distance, over yonder. Now, we're getting into a dangerous spot here, coming out here. Now, I'm in the Japanese patrol boat here, which is... this one's actually not too bad, being that you've got the 40mm guns on board. And they have got some good penetration, and also they do some good damage. Now, what we're going to do here is we're actually going to start smoking up. Slow down. Sit in a smoke screen. A distance for that tribal class, and we'll start blasting away at the decks. Now we can actually do some damage to it in this respect. Not a huge amount of damage because we're only using our 40s here, but it is quite useful. Now we have just taken a massive hit on the bow. So, we're pretty much buggered right now. So that tribal class has managed to hit us bow on, as you can see. But we survived the hit. And that's one of the things with this new system, is you can actually survive a few hits to your boat. Now we're probably going to die right now. Because as you can see, we're getting a full broadside from this tribal class. And there we go. We are blown to smithereens. But we did get a couple of nice hits on there, and we didn't die instantly. Now comes the destroyer aspect, and as you can see, we've only got the 23mm high explosive rounds with the Yugamo. And this can be a little bit problematic when you're facing other destroyers. Because... well, when you're shooting at a destroyer, it has quite a lot of armor. It's not a huge amount of armor, but it has got armor on it. And, well, 23mm of penetration is not going to do too much to an enemy ship. Now, we might get lucky, but as you can see here, we're going to set fires, we're going to cause some damage, but we're not going to cause a huge amount of damage. try and hit the front of the ship and get some compartment damage. And we'll switch to both ships and also planes here. Now, that tribal class is starting to take some flooding damage, as you can see. And we want to try and hit the bow of the ship. There we go. Nice hit on the bow. We are taking some damage now as they're firing back at us. But if we can take out those guns... Starting to take some serious damage here, because the tribal class has got some armor-piercing rounds on it. Now then. And we got torpedoed, I think. Yes, torpedoed by an enemy plane. There we go. So, as you can see, it is a bit harder with the Japanese destroyer. You really are at a very big disadvantage. Just because you just don't have that damage ability for the guns. So we'll hop in a B7A2 now, and we'll have a look and see how we go with the planes. Now, as you saw there, our anti-aircraft was not doing anything, and that's because the Yugamo really suffers with its AAA defense. It's not very good AAA-wise. Whereas some other ships can be very, very good. Now, as you can see there, I think there's a patrol boat or something down there. No, it's just a big line of torpedoes. So you can sort of see all the torpedoes in the water there, just floating around, people aimlessly firing them around, just trying their best. So let's see if we can get that tribal class and finish it off. Now we're going to come in very low and very fast to it. I'm going to try and use this island as cover. Hopefully we haven't got any planes on our 6. So this is a very dangerous way of doing it, but hopefully it might pay off. Because, well, we'll be behind this island for a little bit. Now this tribal class is dead ahead of us. The anti-aircraft guns haven't started firing off just yet. And we will drop our torpedo now. Let's see how that goes. Perfect. Perfect hit there. Lovely. So, as you can see, it's a little bit easier for planes now to get in on the ships because the AAA doesn't light you up as quick. One of the big issues before was when you were flying a plane is AAA would absolutely just shred you before you got even close. Of course, when they spot you, you do start getting problems. But you can actually get a little bit closer now. Oh crap, there is a destroyer in the patrol boat section now, so this is going to be problematic. So we're going to try our best to get away from that. And keep low so we don't get too much AAA on us. But we'll go and see if we can find any little patrol boats to harass out some low-level flights. So there's not many patrol boats around at the moment, or for the enemy team at least. They seem to be mainly in destroyers. Destroyer over there. Do not want to go messing with that.
Another zone captured. We have the advantage.
And we've got another destroyer there. So as you can see, we are in a bit of trouble now because they've got destroyers in the main bay, and this is a problem with the maps. And some maps are better than others, in all honesty. You know, some maps are not too bad, But this map is particularly bad because all the destroyers can get right in this section here. And, well, if you're in a patrol boat, you're going to spawn in and have a destroyer right next to you. BTD here. We will suicide into him. Oh, an SBC. SB2C, sorry. So we'll just crash into him, take him out of the game.
The enemy has most of the strategic zones.
So, let's try... Oh, we've run out of spawns. Oh wait, no. There we go. So let's try having the patrol boat come in now. And we'll spawn in this section. But you'll see the problem straight away, because we're probably going to have a spawn camper quite close to us. So there we go. There's a pair of destroyers over to our left-hand side there. Right next to our spawn. So we can't really do anything against them. But we can possibly wait for to come by. So we might be able to get a salvo of torpedoes as they come by this island section here. But this map is pretty poorly designed, in all honesty, because there's not really much you can do once the destroyers get into this middle section. You need to take them out because the patrol boats can't really do anything. They're actually going to smoke up here. Get some hiding. Gonna launch one. Torpedo out because we're going to get some boats coming across our bow very shortly. And we're going to start speeding up now. Get out of the smoke screen. So we've got one destroyer over to our right there, one to our left. But are we going to be able to get a torpedo off in time? No, we're not. And this is the biggest problem still in naval combat, is the spawn camping. And the play in a section like this. So as you see, in those island sections, you can't really play once a destroyer gets in. Because, well, there's nothing you can do. Now, there are some better maps in the rotation. I think it's Norway and one of the other maps as well, which has sort of almost a blocked off area, so destroyers can't get in the middle section. So you can play the torpedo boats a bit, and you can play the destroyers. But this game's lost to us now because, well, look, they've got I think they've got 3 or 4 destroyers in these island sections here. And really, we can't do anything to counteract it now, because we might be able to get a destroyer going into sea there and shooting in at them, but they're still going to have the better ground. And we are back, and we are now with the Americans in the Fletcher Gulf. And this is a much better map in design, just because it sort of, well, it just works much better, basically. So, to show you the ammunition changes, we now have limited armor-piercing ballistic cap rounds, and also the high explosive fragmentation shells. We still have a lot of the Mark 34. I believe these are the I'm trying to think which one's which. One of them is the anti-aircraft variant. But as you can see, we have much limited the shells that are basically going to absolutely decimate PT boats and other destroyers, but we have a lot of these just standard HE shells for basically long distance salvos. So just to try and balance it. So we'll hop in the Fletcher and see how this goes. So being we only have 30 of our good penetration shells, it really does make things a little bit more tricky. You've got to use them sparingly. Now we're on the African Gulf here, and we've got some destroyers very, very long range, of course, as you would at the start of the game. Now, of course, because we had our standard loaded up straight away, we're going to get rid of those. And we'll just save them if we get a close engagement. But we'll just start firing at this Fletcher, I think it is, in the distance over there. Very long range shots, so we're not expecting any hits, we're just going to be blind firing almost. There we go, we get one hit on the bridge there, so that's good news. Recalculate the distance. And okay, we've got a couple of nice little hits there. Caused a bit of damage to that enemy ship. Again, we will switch to every vehicle. Another enemy out over there, over yonder. And we'll fire off a few salvos just in case. But being that they're bow on, it's going to be a little bit tricky to hit them. Go. Our secondaries are starting to fire, but not really going to hit at this distance.
Most of the strategic zones are captured.
Now then, everybody of course is heading towards the island chain, and the thing about this map is, well, the island chain is better designed for PT boats. It's harder to manoeuvre in big lumbering destroyers, but again, as I say, it's still problematic in the fact that, you know, if a destroyer does get in there, it can cause a lot of problems. But being that it's much narrower and harder to navigate, also there are a lot of shallow depths and things like that. Now we've got some shots coming in over there. Got quite a few destroyers over to our right hand side here, so we're going to start turning away from these guys. Good hits there. Quite a few criticals, which is always nice. We just took a nasty bit of a bump to the front of the ship, and I think we took it at our waterline, so we have got some flooding now. So let's just see what we got there. Yep, you can see that hole just in our waterline there. So there we go, we've got two holes in the waterline just at the front of the ship. So we have got some mild flooding, but that won't really be anything to cause us major concern just yet. Right, destroyer's been taken out. Now let's just keep a bit of an eye out and see what's happening. So, secondaries are lighting up some enemies there. So we're going to turn now and start heading towards, not into the island chain so much, we're just going to keep on the outside, I think, just for safety. Destroyer at long range there. Looks like there's another destroyer taking on that guy just behind the island there. So, we'll work out our targets right now. So we've got a destroyer, so tribal class over there. Bit hard to hit it in this situation just because it's got some good coverage from the rocks over there. I'm going to keep an eye on that right hand side because there is a destroyer You can just see the smokestacks coming out from behind the island. Now, the biggest issue with using these high explosive shells is the fact that, well, they don't have great penetration value. And that can cause you some issues when you're firing at the ammunition of an enemy destroyer. You don't get that instant kill quite as often. You don't get that coup de grace, so to say, of taking out the enemy destroyer with your main guns by hitting their ammunition racks, and that can be a little bit problematic. So I think that's another Fletcher over there. By the look at the top of the ship. So we are going to be taking a Fletcher on Fletcher action here. Now he is side on. Now we're going to absolutely time our shots. Fire for the bow of the ship. Now, being that he's going to bow tank us, we have to be a bit careful here. I'm going to actually switch to my my armor piercing shell here, and we're going to try and get some shots on the ammunition. If we can get those ammunition shots here, we will get the win quite easily. Boom, there we go. So that's using that ammunition sparingly. It's using it well and getting those shots aimed off perfectly. So you've really got to use them at close distance now, which does add for a little bit more engaging gameplay. It's a little bit trickier. You've got to actually consider it now, whereas before you just could fire off, you know, just constant salvos at long distance. And you know, destroyers now have a little bit more of a little bit more life. Where is that torpedo? Torpedo somewhere. Torpedo to our left there. We're going to actually turn in now. So that Fletcher fired off its torpedoes at us in a last-ditch effort, but luckily we missed them. And as I say, that's one of the big problems with the Japanese destroyer, in the fact that it doesn't have that armor-piercing capability. So, you know, in a close-range engagement, the Fletcher's always going to win. Well, not always, but it's going to win a lot easier because it's got that that better penetration to it. Now this guy's going to be launching off torpedoes, no doubt. But we've just got to take out one more section of his ship to bring him down. If we can manage to take out one of the compartments, we will win this engagement again. There we go, he's taken out, so that's good news. But we've just got to be wary of any torpedoes that it fired. Again, we've got more ships over there. So we're actually going to start disengaging now because, well, we've got a lot of boats coming in on us. And we're starting to take some heavy damage here. And there is also another destroyer to our left as well again. So this guy's snuck in and we've not noticed him. Now again we're going to switch to our better rounds. Oh, just a little bit far from that shot. But we are in deep trouble now. We're going to start going down. And torpedoed by a plane. There we go, so we are down. But we took a good fight there. So as I say, the ships are very... It is rough now for the... there's more involvement with the destroyers. So we're going to take out the SB-2C with a 1344 torpedo. And we'll see if we can take out a ship. But we've managed to take out one ship and get 3 assists on there, which is not too bad all in all. So that is some good news for us. As I say, destroyers feel a bit more balanced with having that, having less of the high armor piercing shells on board. Just because beforehand I was getting 5-6 kills easily at long distance because you were just firing the armor piercing shells into the ammo racks. Now you don't have that luxury, so you really have to aim your shots. With this with this map, as I say, it is harder for the enemy team to get into this area here, so it does make the game much more fun in that regards. Because as you see, we didn't really have any torpedoes in that midsection. So all in all, some maps are making it better. The destroyer gameplay I do like a bit more, just because you have got that bit of what was I saying? You've got a bit more strategy involved in the shooting. So you have to aim those shots with those armor-piercing rounds, although I do feel there should be some more. You should carry at least about 50, maybe 60 of those rounds on there, because 40's a little... 30 actually. 30's a little bit low. I think historically they did carry more as well. So, all in all, pretty good. Yeah, as I say, it really depends on the map. I think the biggest problem with Gaijin is their map design, and it's the same in ground forces. For instance, on the new map of the Maginot Line, if you start off on the top of the map, so the north side of the map, the spawn camping is much easier. It's easier to spawn camp people north of you, whereas the south of the map it's a bit harder to spawn camp. And I think they really need to work something out for spawning and spawn camping, just to make it a little bit more fair, so to say. Okay guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's videos, and I will catch you again soon. This is Screezilla out. Bye bye.